Welcome back to the Everyday Faith Podcast from Eastside with today's faith-rooted principle.
Hi, I'm Pastor Finley Cutshaw coming to you today with today's rooted principle, which is thank the Lord for the blessings of salvation you can enjoy right now. Some people look at salvation as if, well, I get to go to heaven one day, but they don't consider the fact that there are many blessings that we can experience because of salvation right now. The psalmist writes in Psalm 68:19, "Blessed be the Lord, who daily loadeth us with benefits, even the God of our salvation." And I thought about those benefits. One of the main benefits, I think, that we need to consider is what life eternal is, what salvation is all about. In John 17:3, Jesus, as he's praying, says this, "And this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent." You know, it is a great blessing that we get to know God. We get to know his Son, Jesus Christ. We're invited to know him and to know him in a very personal way. So we have access to his person. And then we also have access to God's power. I thought about Philippians 4:13. "I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me." That is a wonderful verse, and I quote it often to myself and share it with others. It's a verse that we should rely upon. And here's a reality. God has never given us something to do that he has not enabled us to do it. And so the Spirit of God enables us. And in all reality, when we accept Christ as our Savior, we don't have time to deal with this in detail, but in Romans 6, the power of sin is broken in our lives. And so we have access to his power. But then we have access to his presence. Hebrews chapter 4 and verse number 16, a wonderful verse, says, "Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." There's a story told about Abraham Lincoln, and he was in a very difficult meeting, had generals around him and advisors and so forth, and all of a sudden a young boy comes bursting into the room and runs right up to the president, who stopped everything to see exactly what that young man wanted. And it was his own son. That's why he had access to him, and that's why the president stopped everything to see what that young man wanted. Well, that's what God tells us here in Hebrews 4:16. Let us come boldly to the throne of grace. And then finally, we have access to God's plan. God's plan is revealed to us in his word. I think about what David said in Psalm 86 and verse number 11. He said, "Teach me thy way, O Lord. I will walk in thy truth." David was asking God to teach him. And so you and I have that same privilege. Can I tell you again, we have a lot to be thankful for, that we ought to be thanking the Lord for the blessings of salvation that we can enjoy right now. We can enjoy his person, his power, his presence, and his plan. That's our rooted principle for today. Thank the Lord for the blessings of salvation you get to enjoy now. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for today's Rooted Principle right here on the Everyday Faith Podcast. If today's conversation has encouraged you, be sure to share it with someone who might need it, and don't forget to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time right here on the Everyday Faith Podcast.